Emma and her friends were buzzing with excitement when they finally pulled into the gravel driveway of Cedarwood Lodge in Calgary, Alberta. A weekend getaway in a charming Airbnb sounded perfect. A chance to escape their mundane routines and dive into a mix of relaxation and adventure. Canadian winters is known for its brutality and cozy getaways in a wood cabin on the outskirts of a small town outside of a city. That was an ideal way to go. As they stepped over the threshold of the rustic cabin, they were taken back by the vibe and decor of the place. They went around checking out the cabin. Mark, without hesitation, claimed the biggest room and smirked at Emma. Emma brushed it off, smiled, and shook her head. Tyler, under his breath, said, Mark thinks he's getting lucky tonight. When each bedroom was claimed, they went and explored the main hall and the kitchen area where Emma noticed a note taped on the fridge door. It read, The 10 Rules of Cedarwood Lodge. Rule 1. Respect the house at all times. Rule 2. Keep the noise level down after dark. Rule 3. Discard all food before 10 p.m. Rule 4. Do not look into the mirrors after dark. They don't always show reality. Rule 5. Kill any bugs immediately. Rule 6. Stay clear of the basement. Rule 7. Never go outside after dark. Rule 8. Do not split up. Rule 9. If you see someone at the back door, do not let them in. Rule 10. Leave before sunrise. At first, Emma and her friends dismissed these warnings as a mere joke by the Airbnb host. Kate was hesitant and suggested they leave. She felt some sort of discomfort, but after some time, they rationalized their decision to stay, treating the rules like a silly superstition meant to enhance the cabin experience. Emma and her companions, Kate, Tyler, and Mark, began unpacking, settling things in. Tyler was in the living room with snacks and eagerly diving in for what they hoped would be an unforgettable experience. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the flames in the fireplace crackled to life, casting flickering shadows that danced across the wooden floors. To them, the lodge's strange energy began to envelope their carefree atmosphere. It wasn't long before they unwittingly broke the first rule. A few bowls of chips and cookies lay abandoned on the counter, gleaming under the fading light, while the clock inched dangerously close to 10 p.m. Come on, just a few more minutes. Nobody will notice if we stretch it out, Mark reassured, grinning as he snatched a handful of Oreos. The others giggled and chimed in, groaning at hesitation, greedily indulging in the snacks. It was then that the horror began to unfurl, gently at first, like the whisper of a wind through the trees. Emma turned her gaze toward the mirror above the mantel, a chill gripping her heart as she noticed something unnatural. Her reflection appeared slightly askew, as if the glass held an indistinct fog, creating the illusion of movement behind her. When she blinked, the strange vision vanished. Hey, Emma, you look pale. Are you okay? Tyler asked, noticing her sudden shift in demeanor. I think the mirror's weird, she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper, but her friends laughed, dismissing her concern with a playful tease. As the night grew darker, an unsettling noise resonated from the kitchen, a gentle buzzing that pierced the otherwise tranquil atmosphere. The source quickly revealed itself, a swarm of fruit flies drawn to their neglected snacks. Fueled by a mixture of bravado and mischief, the group armed themselves with paper towels, brandishing them like weapons. Kill the bugs, Tyler shouted, his laughter ricocheting off the walls. The others joined in, swatting at the air gleefully as they chased the elusive insects. Yet, in the heat of the moment, they had forgotten the rule about remaining quiet. Their raucous laughter and shouts echoed eerily in the stillness of the lodge. Suddenly, the buzzing condescended. It was no longer just a handful of fruit flies. Larger, grotesque insects began to emerge from the shadowy corners, their dark bodies glistening enormously. Emma shrieked as a beetle landed on the counter, causing her to knock over a bowl of chips. The crash reverberated throughout the cabin, as if rousing something ancient from its slumber. In their frenzied swatting, Mark lost his grip of the broom, which clattered loudly to the floor, an unsettling sound that resonated like death knell. For a heartbeat, silence fell, heavy and oppressive, before the air trembled with a low, guttural growl originating from the basement. A knot of dread twisted in Emma's stomach. "Guys, we should calm down. It's late. Remember the rules?" she pleaded, her voice wavering. "Come on. What's the worst that can happen?" Tyler scoffed, his bravado masking the unease swirling in the pit of his gut. Against her better judgment, Emma felt compelled to follow Mark, who quickly suggested they investigate the basement, the very place the rules had warned against. With reluctant steps, she descended the creaking staircase, the air growing oppressive with each hesitant measurement. Each breath seemed heavier, laden with the weight of fate. The basement was a nightmarish expense, cluttered with rotting furniture and streaks of dampness that clung to the air like a persistent fog. A musty odor crept in, and as they turned on their phones for the illumination, the small beams of light danced along the walls, revealing grotesque shadows that twisted and writhed just out of view. Emma shivered, her instincts screaming that they were not alone. She tightened her grip on the phone, its small light becoming a pitiful shield against the encroaching darkness. "I'll go check that corner," Mark announced, his bravado intact as he veered away from the group. Emma's panic flared. "Mark, stay with us!" But Mark was already lost in the oppressive shadows, his figure disappearing into the murk. Emma exchanged frightened glances with Kate and Tyler, the walls of the basement closing in, tightening around them. "We shouldn't separate," Emma urged, terror bubbling just beneath the surface of her plea. Then, amid the suffocating gloom, Mark's scream pierced the silence, a horrified wail that echoed through the basement and sent icy fingers of fear racing down Emma's spine. The remaining three bolted in the direction of the sound, heartbeats pounding in their throats, only to find the corner empty, save for a single swinging light bulb that illuminated by only despair. "Where's Mark?" Kate murmured, her voice barely a whisper as her complexion paled visibly. The panic that had settled in was palpable. Emma's heart raced in a primal rhythm, an instinctual response to the danger they had unwittingly courted. The rule about never being alone gnawed at her mind, a constant reminder of their transgressions. "We need to get back upstairs," Emma urged, voice shaking. They turned to leave, but the light bulb flickered anonymously, and just for an instant, a figure emerged from the shadows, hollow eyes staring straight into their souls, with a hunger that transcended even the darkest nightmares. It was a sight straight out of a horror film, the kind of terror that should have been confined to nightmares. The staircase felt impossibly long, stretching before them like an endless chasm of dread, and as they rushed toward their salvation, just as they reached the top, a thunderous crash echoed behind them, and the air filled with a nauseating tension. Frantic, they stumbled into the living room, where an oppressive atmosphere smothered them like a heavy blanket. As Emma turned to her friends, She caught sight of the mirror again. Not the ordinary reflection she expected, but a figure with a grotesque, twisted smile that was not her own. It leered back at her, a vile manifestation of her darkest fears. "Guys, we need to leave now," Emma shouted. The living room door shut with a slam and was not opening even after Tyler pulled it with all his might. The living room light shattered, and the paintings on the wall started to fall to the ground, urging the trio to escape to the back of the house towards the kitchen. Emma was trying to open the door in the kitchen that led to the backyard, hoping for salvation on the other side. As she pulled and twisted the door handle, making zero progress, Kate and Tyler were screaming and losing their minds behind her. Kate told Tyler to grab something heavy so they can break the glass, and she turned towards Emma to tell her to step away from the door. Kate's face grew pale as she froze and then screamed, "Emma!" Emma turned to look at her to find her pointing at the glass door. As Emma turned to look, the kitchen light bulb bursted, plunging them into darkness, which made the view for Emma outside crystal clear. A tall, dark figure stood there, just outside the door, with a grin wider than humanly possible, revealing a little too many teeth. Emma gasped and backed up. Screams erupted as figures emerged from the shadows, not just bugs, but nightmarish creatures, glaring with a malevolent awareness. They were grotesque manifestations of fear, twisted forms that crawled and slithered, hungry for the warmth of life. Emma's heart raced as if she felt something cold and clammy seizing her leg, dragging her backwards into the abyss. In chaos, Emma watched in horror as her friends were swept away, one by one, their terrified expressions fading into the nightmarish shadows. The last thing Emma remembered was being pulled into the abysmal darkness, the echo of her friends' screaming ringing in her ears. The next morning, Cedarwood Lodge stood silent, drenched in the light of dawn with the sun peeking over the horizon. A soft breeze rustled the leaves, a deceptive tranquility reigning over the place where terror had unfurled. No one would come looking for Emma and her friends. The thrill they had eagerly sought had lain waiting. Twisted into their ultimate nightmare, the lodge remained an eternal sentinel for the wayward souls, its 10 rules etched into the walls, silent but always watching, ever tempting those who dared seek adventure. As for Emma, she was no longer merely a girl trapped in a weekend getaway. She became part of the mirror, a tormented spirit doomed to watch, always waiting for another group unsuspecting souls to wander into her darkened realm. As their fearful reflection met her gaze, she reveled in the delicious irony of it all, trapped in a cycle of terror, reflecting their worst fears back at them, an echo of despair forever woven into the fabric of the Cedarwood Lodge.